your addiction, it's not the problem. It's just a response to not feeling safe to be your authentic self. I've said this before, I'm going to continue saying it. Your addiction is not the problem. Your addiction is not the problem. There is a deeper root. And today I'm going to help you understand why part of that root lies within you not feeling safe to be you. You feeling like you had to be somebody different, you feeling like you had to express yourself differently, you feeling like you couldn't ask for what you needed, like your emotions weren't valid or your voice wasn't something that was needed to be heard. And so it's important for you to understand deep down that your addiction isn't the problem and that it comes from your inability to be authentic, because then you can start to make the changes in your life. You can start to notice the behaviors that are happening over and over again where you are conforming to someone else's vision of who you're supposed to be, whether that was your parents, your society, your workplace. If you're trying to fit in, and I don't mean consciously, but if you're trying to fit in at a deep unconscious level, you're going to make decisions that are going to hurt you so that you can fit in, because it was always a survival mechanism. But the cool thing is, I'm going to help you out today. At the end of this video, I'm going to give you a hypnosis, a very short yet effective hypnosis that's going to help you to start to feel more safe to be your true and authentic self, so that you can let go of the root needs, the motivations that are driving you to stay stuck in these addictive behaviors. So hang out with me. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what this complex trauma, what these issues with authenticity is all about, and help you to understand how you can do something about it now. My name is Christopher Armstrong, and I am a hypnotherapist, and I am here as a sober transformation coach. I help people like you to get rid of the root issues that are keeping us stuck in these addictions, so that we can unfold, we can blossom like the flower that we're meant to come here to be, so that we can be our true authentic self, whether it's a clown, whether it's a super wild fantasy nerd, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But you have a gift, and I want to help you to step into it by getting rid of everything that is not you. Now, I'm enjoying a little bit of this is like a mushroom coffee latte, but actually doesn't have coffee. It's a Ramon seed, which is actually locally produced here in Guatemala, where I'm transmitting from. It's mixed up with some herbs, some reishi, some different adaptogens. And this is one of my many new experiments as I continue the journey coffee-free and low caffeine, because I used to be super addicted to coffee. And one of the reasons why I was super addicted to coffee is because I was working in an environment that ultimately I wasn't built for, but that this society tried to mold me into. And then I drank a lot of coffee and caffeine to try to up my mood, to try to fit in, to try to just work through the grind. I mean, 20 years in the restaurant business, and you find a lot of ways to adapt. There's a lot of addiction in the hotel and restaurant business, especially in food and beverage. So I want you to understand, addiction is not a moral failing, okay? It is your nervous system and your unconscious mind, the unconscious mind being that part of yourself that 95% of your behaviors come from, the part of yourself that's responsible for keeping your body alive. It's not just one piece in your brain, it's a whole network of things. It's a whole aspect of your being. And that has been trying to keep you alive. And these addictions are helping you to cope with your unmet needs, your unrealized expressions, your unmet needs for safety, for love, validation, and a lot of this comes from childhood. So let's talk about complex trauma. I have learned so much about the topic of complex trauma in the last few years. And it's funny because I'm hearing some people in the social medias talking about, they're like, oh, everybody's saying that everything is trauma. Like, oh my God, everything's just pointing back to trauma. I'm like, yeah, it is. We grew up on a world and a planet that is traumatized, where we have been passing junk down from generation to generation for eons. So of course it has to do with trauma. But I want you to understand that there's a difference between big T trauma, okay? This is the type of trauma that, for example, when I got in a car crash, right? I experienced trauma it was a shake to the system. I thought I was going to die. And then I had to integrate, I had to soothe the nervous system afterwards. And there were definitely after effects, and I had to be aware of them. But I'm talking about complex trauma, or what we might call, instead of big T trauma, little t trauma. Now, little t trauma is this slow burning, subtle accumulation of unmet needs over the course of your childhood, right? This could be because you grew up with potentially very loving parents, but they had no idea how to meet your emotional needs. Potentially you grew up in a household with a lot of narcissistic tendencies. Now, I wouldn't label your parents as narcissists. One thing that we understand in neurolinguistic programming, or NLP, one of the primary keys and tools I work with, is that a person is not their behavior. So your parents aren't narcissists, but they do engage in narcissistic behaviors. But guess what? So do most humans, right? You potentially were screwed up by your society, the expectations the society puts on you to be something that you didn't come here to be. For your parents, perhaps they just didn't know how to take care of you. They didn't know how to listen to you. They were so in their own junk that they didn't know how to give you the time, attention, and support that you needed. And that stacks up over time, and we develop these survival mechanisms. We go up to our father or mother and we say, hey, and we want to share with them something exciting, something that we're super passionate about as kids, but they're busy. And so they brush us off, not intentionally, but because they're focused on keeping food on the table, stressed with their job, whatever it might be. And then we feel like, oh, I can't share who I am. But then all of a sudden we go and we talk to them, and maybe monkey see, monkey do, we start to notice that, like, for example, my mom liked bowling and tennis. So yeah, I got excited about bowling and tennis. I didn't care about those sports. They were not interesting to me. But when I said something about them, when I brought it up, or when I shouted at somebody hitting a strike on the TV, my mom would then, she'd be positive. She'd be celebrative because I'm speaking her language. So I would get rewards for fitting into her mold. And then therefore, I would start to push away unconsciously, not with intention, what I desire, what I love, what I enjoy, and then start to focus my attention on things that would get me rewards, that would get me attention, that would get me the needs that previously were unmet. Now, I want you to understand that a child until the age of 7, 8, 10 maybe is just basically a walking, talking, unconscious mind. At that moment, we have yet to fully develop the aspects of our brain and the aspects of our consciousness that are our conscious mind. That's the focus that we have, the attention that we can use, the desires that we set, the goals that we can set. The unconscious mind is responsible for survival, making sure that you're alive. It is responsible for your heart beating and your cells replicating and your breath, and a bunch more things. So if you're a walking, talking unconscious mind and you're learning these strategies on how to survive in your household, in your school, in your neighborhood, in your society, then those things lock in. Monkey see, monkey do. And also, like, you see a little child, they absorb things like a sponge. They start to mimic everything. That's why children can learn languages like that. It's impressive. And we also learn these survival strategies. So look, these wounds end up creating shame. Shame is powerful because it motivates us on a deep level to do things that do not serve us. Shame is the idea that you are wrong, you are bad, and that you need to change. Look, we all deal with shame. It's a part of our society. It's a part of our social conditioning as humans. There are debates about whether or not shame is actually even necessary. Potentially, it's a completely unnecessary emotion that has actually evolved over time. My neurolinguistic programming teacher, Dr. Matt James, says that shame and guilt in his process, this breakthrough session, where this is a process that I work with my clients, where we basically just take all of your junk, all of your baggage, all of your emotional baggage and stuck emotions and your limiting beliefs, and we just blast them out. We just get rid of them so that we can start to install new programs. Now that, he says, he used to focus in this process they've been doing for over 40 years. And it would be like, okay, we do anger, sadness, and fear, and then we do guilt, and then that was it. But then all of a sudden, shame started coming up, and it started coming up in relationship to a lot of this social shaming that was happening on TV in the 90s around Bill Clinton era. It started happening even more once we got into 2000s and social media came in, then we could shame people from a distance. The idea of like cancel culture, it's gotten even worse. But is it really necessary? Not really. And it's a reality that we're living in. So this toxic shame basically creates a split between your true self and the version that you have created, the adaptive self. And so when you're acting in the world, when you're engaging in behavior, I want you to understand that there's two versions that you're potentially displaying out there. And yes, there are people who are fully authentic and they have gotten rid of the shame. They have dealt with the stuff that is preventing them from expressing themselves authentically. Potentially, they're also programmed differently. I work with a system called human design. It's a modern fusion of ancient and quantum scientific practices that help us to understand how we were designed so that we can become unique, individualized humans. And each of us has different strengths and challenges. Each of us has different pieces of the human genome that we are essentially working on, that we're kind of like gnawing on so that we can heal, so that we can tend to, so that our civilization advances, so that humanity evolves. And some of us don't have an issue with authenticity. We can just look around at the people in the media. And also, some of those people might just be adapting to what works, to what pays, to what gives them the success that society has claimed and dictated is really what we should be perceiving, should be striving for. Look, I did this all the time. It's funny because, here I am in a cabin in the hills and the mountains of Guatemala, overlooking a beautiful lake, studying and learning about Mayan shamanism and ancient Mayan practices, singing and chanting devotional songs to the different deities and aspects of God in the Hindu tradition. I'm doing ecstatic dance and moving my body in ways that I never thought I could. Completely sober, mind you. This is more of my authentic self. For years, I wore a suit and a tie. I worked in the restaurant industry. There were aspects of that were authentic. The desire to serve people, the nerdiness and learning and loving learning about things like food and wine and getting into the sensory experience and sharing those sensory experiences with other people. Those are definitely true aspects of myself. But getting people drunk, helping other people get drunk, drinking, smoking, all these other things, drinking tons of coffee, those were more of my adaptive self. Wearing a suit and tie, I never really liked wearing a suit and tie. I liked the attention it got me. I liked when women looked at me a certain way. I liked when clients took me seriously. That is an adaptation. That is not my true self. I don't own a suit and a tie. I mean, for God's sakes, like I have a poncho currently blocking some sunlight. I wear like what people would call hippie clothing, but I don't like the term hippie because that also means that you're trying to conform to something else, which is deemed hip. And that's a whole other story. But look, here's the deal. I have been adapting to survive. I still do it. I am not perfect in this. I still have my challenges. But the good thing is that since I've gotten rid of the substances, since I've gotten rid of a lot of the big addictions, which means that I had to get to the roots of why I didn't feel safe to express myself, safe to be my true self, which a lot of that had to do with my family. A lot of that had to do with how my mother gave me attention, my dad's inability to be physically and emotionally present because he was working all the time, all these different things. Like there's so many reasons why, but I didn't start by attacking the addiction. I got to the reasons why. Even with people that I help quit smoking cannabis, vaping, smoking cigarettes, it takes about an hour and it's 96% effective. So I guarantee 100% it's going to work as long as you follow the process and you're really ready to quit. In that process, we're not just saying, stop smoking, you're bad, don't smoke. We're actually getting to the deep roots of the unconscious programming, why you are reaching out for a cigarette in the first place. And a lot of times it's to fit in, socializing. It's because my friend does it. It's because my mom and dad did it when I grew up. Knock that stuff out and we can deal with it. Because remember, addiction is unmet needs. Unmet needs combined with emotional dysregulation, which means that your emotions are out of whack. And it's also about numbing the pain. What pain? the pain of disconnection. Clearly, if you're not allowed to be your authentic self, if being your true authentic self doesn't get you the attention, the love, the emotional connection that you need, then it is that disconnection and the pain thereof. Remember, we're monkeys. We have a mammalian part of our brain, which is all about socialization and fitting into the tribe so that we don't get left behind. We don't die, because humans, like monkeys, cannot live on their own. Then we create maladaptive coping mechanisms. Add in that toxic shame and there you go. This is the cocktail that we need to address, right? True self, adaptive self. Which one do you want to be? I know for me, I'm cutting away all the crap that is not me, all the crap that is my adaptive self. The funny thing is that the addiction is really the bridge between these two selves. Ever thought about the idea that some people don't feel like they can say or be themselves unless they have a couple of cocktails in them? Some people, I used to think that I couldn't dance unless I had 3 or 4 drinks in me. But the funny thing is that I go dancing every week, multiple times a week, dancing with men and women, doing wild flips and all kinds of weird fun stuff in this ecstatic style dance. And guess what? I can do that because I'm sober, because I can feel my body, because I have given myself the privilege of taking away the baggage that prevents me from being my authentic self, that worries about what other people think about me. And then I go out and I do it, because we can get rid of the baggage. You've got to start creating new neural pathways, new habits, setting goals, taking care of creating and actually living and making your nervous system wired into your true authentic self. But you got to get rid of the baggage. You got to have a clear vision of who you are and who you want to be. You got to be able to tap into that and give yourself permission to tap into that. And then you got to take action, and then you got to stay focused. It's really just those 4 steps. But look, I want to help you today, and I want to give you a little bit of a hypnosis process. This is a little taste of the work that I do with my clients. This is the stuff that I do for those that are ready to make massive transformations, to go within and reprogram themselves. I'm not doing anything to you. You are doing this to yourself, following my instructions. So if you're not in a place right now, go ahead and pause the video, download it, save it for later. But if you're in a place where you can sit down, preferably in a chair, even better if you can lean back a little bit. Sometimes we get a little bit of the droopy neck, and it's nice to be able to have a steeper angle leaning back so that you don't have as much of an issue. And what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and sit down, put your feet on the ground. Take a nice deep breath in. And as you exhale, slowly start to close your eyes. That's right. Taking another deep breath in. And as you exhale, feel your eyes getting even heavier. Take one more deep, deep breath in, holding at the top and recognizing that any sounds that you hear in this video or in your environment are going to help you to sink deeper as you exhale and drop deeper into your body, feeling the weight against the chair, against whatever it is that you're sitting in. Now continue this nice, deep, rhythmic breath. And as you continue this rhythmic breath, I want you to start to notice that your eyelids are getting so heavy. Imagining that your eyes are made out of stone. They're made out of granite. They're so heavy, they're like a boulder sealing a cave shut. There is no magic spell that can open these, because your imagination is more powerful than anything in this reality. Now, I want you to go ahead and try to open your eyes and smile, because you can't, because you have sealed them shut with your intention and your imagination. Now, what I want you to notice is that with every deep breath, you feel like you're pulling more energy, more of your true self back in. And every exhale, you're feeling yourself getting heavier and heavier and heavier, drifting deeper and deeper into trance. You notice that my voice is becoming more and more hypnotic, that as I speak, it's easier and easier for you to follow my voice down into a safe, deep place of relaxation. Imagine a soft, warm light surrounding you like a cocoon of safety, and feel this light filling you, creating a space where you can let go of all judgment and fear. And what I want you to do is allow your mind to imagine with me. The images in your mind will help to reprogram how you experience this world. I want you to imagine a small flame flickering inside of you, like a candle surrounded by a glass globe. At first, you notice that this glass is cloudy. There's all kinds of writing on the outside, programs that you have been given, instructions from other people, instructions from your workplace, your boss, your family, from the television, from the radio. You notice that there's all this dirt and debris that is collected over time. And you start to take deep breaths. And with every breath, you notice that the glass becomes clearer and the flame burns brighter. And soon it becomes so bright and the glass so clear that you notice your flame shines boldly. And you notice the space that you're in completely lit up with warmth and safety as your flame shines ever brightly. Each breath, brighter and brighter. The glass becomes clearer and clearer. And now notice yourself going in there and imagine a younger version of yourself coming by your side and supporting you as you both take rags, towels, whatever tools you need to scrape off the last bit of that debris and all of that writing from the globe around your flame. You notice that younger version of yourself who's so excited about life, who's excited about whatever he or she loves most. The artwork, the toys, the fantasy. And now I want you to start actually drawing images, words of support. Perhaps it's a loving dragon, a powerful unicorn. Perhaps it's the words like love and joy and expression and authenticity. And you write these around the globe. You paint it and you draw so much that the candle inside shines these images on the whole world around you, projecting them like a hologram. And you see that the magic inside of you is surrounding you. With every additional image you place, your reality around you becomes more and more powerful and magical, joyful, exactly as you desire it. I want you to repeat these words silently in your mind. I am safe to be myself. I honor my true self and express it with ease. I am whole, worthy, and enough just as I am. I release the fear of judgment and I embrace my uniqueness. My authenticity is my greatest strength. You feel your unconscious mind already starting to shift your perceptual filters. The way that you view the world, the old lenses, the old glass globe is gone, and now you have installed these new ways of seeing. Feel it lock into place like snapping a lock shut. Imagine maybe clicking save on your computer. And now, as you start to come back to this now moment, I want you to take a strong, deep breath. And as I count from 1 to 5, you'll come back into the room feeling fully aware, recharged, and revitalized. 1, noticing that your fingers and your toes are starting to wiggle. 2, noticing the environment around you, feeling and sensing the energy in your area. 3, starting to feel more and more present in your body. 4, you're almost totally awakened. And 5, your eyes are open, you're feeling ready to go, awake and revitalized. Celebrate this new version of yourself. Notice what changes happen and comment in the comments below when you notice that something has shifted. And maybe even share your experience. What happened? What did you see? What words were drawn on that glass globe? What magical images were projected outward? What did your inner child help you draw? Now, look, if you're dealing with addiction, you've come this far. Awesome. Thank you for being here with me. And I want you to know this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is just the beginning of what is possible. There's so much that we can do. The process of hypnotherapy is powerful, and also customized hypnotherapy, neurolinguistic programming, all these other techniques will help you to completely transform. Give me 90 days and I will help you transform your life. Your addictions will completely shift. And I can make that promise to you. It took me years, and that experience that I built over years gave me the ability to create something that will help you transform in just 90 days. So if you're interested, there's information below about how to get on the wait list. I only have a certain limited amount of spots available. And I'm looking for people who are ready, who are committed to themselves and to the future vision of themselves. Because if you're really ready to go, that's the hardest part, is making that decision. Everything else thereafter is so much easier. Certainly a lot easier than dealing with whatever addiction you're dealing with. Trust me. I'm so grateful that I don't have any hangovers and I'm not spending the money that I used to spend on all the things that used to make my body hurt. So, once again, my name is Christopher Armstrong. I'm so excited to share this information with you, and enjoy this new version of yourself as you integrate easily and effortlessly this hypnotherapy process that we have engaged in today. Much love, and cheers.